able to find picks, were able to make some plays happen. But, you know, at the end of the day, Royal just built up too much of a lead too early on. We'll get to some of the game-changing moments a little later. Let's start this one off with picks and bans. Double revive passives coming out for Fnatic. It's something we've seen, I think, actually more from the Euro teams than anyone else. Let's start this one with Monty first.
I mean, I really liked Fnatic's composition here, especially because they didn't ban Renekton in this game, and they could assume that it was going to be coming in on Royal's side, considering how much Godlike favors that champion. And when you have champions like Ashe and Zyra, Aatrox and Zac, you can kite that Renekton really well and make sure he never deals a lot of damage to you with his ultimate. And we saw that coming in throughout the game. I think what was kind of disappointing to me here was actually Ahri from Xpeke, because typically we see him using a teleport Ahri, but if you use the Ignite Ahri, you really need to go for that burst. And while Peke has a lot of success with Athene's teleport Ahri, I would have much rather seen that DFG first. And by the end of the game, he had DFG, but he just wasn't even using it in team fights.
Yeah, and another weird thing about Peke's Ahri is, well, I think next game he's either going to ban or take Orianna away from White, because this is the second time he's gotten crushed in lane by White, to be quite honest. And the thing is, he even got First Blood, so I would expect him to win lane with First Blood. Another thing is that Ori and Ezreal are both champions that do really well in extended fights, and when you pick double revive passive, you're looking for an extended fight. You're going to die, then you're going to come back, and the fight is going to last a really long time. Against Renekton, who's going to get constant Fury gain, Orianna, who's going to get a bunch of shields off, and Ezreal is just going to kite forever, it's actually not that great against Royal's team comp.
So talk to me a little bit now about the actual gameplay that took place during the course of this matchup. You know, we've seen that 3v1, or the 3-4-1 at the level 1 tower dive, which backfired so badly for Fnatic. Cyanide then just decided to turn it on. He dove all over the map. He managed to secure kill after kill after kill. And I know, Krepa, you felt quite strongly about Cyanide's early game performance on Aatrox.
There's so many good things for Fnatic, though, coming in early. They weren't afraid to make an aggressive play. They went under a tower, which shows they're not afraid to make plays. They got an early deficit, and then Cyanide still pushed it up. He really went top lane, and he understands the damage output of Aatrox so well. So many times we see an Aatrox jungle, and we're like, meh, what does he actually do? Like, doesn't do much. Cyanide, he really understands that champion. Goes for the early 2v2 skirmishes, which he always wins. Then in the mid-game team fights, you know, the Dragon fight where Fnatic turned it around, that was Cyanide jumping in the backline, zoning, and dying consequently to Orianna and Ezreal. But due to the revive, as we said earlier, he basically drew aggro for twice his lifespan, allowing Soaz to come around in the back and kill them, while Fnatic was kiting Renekton, as we pointed out earlier. Zyra, Ashe, and Ahri was just kiting Renekton around. They dealt with their backline. Cyanide, as a jungler, basically did the same as the top laner did for Royal. So that was really, really well played by him.
And early game, yeah, Cyanide turned it on. But I think later in the game, that was the lucky show. This guy needs to change his name to Skillful, because those weren't lucky smites. Those were skillful smites, man. Like, this guy gets into 50-50 Barons twice so far in 2 games. And it's not a 50-50, dude. This guy's actually just really smart with smiting. They always get Baron to around 1,000, 1,100 HP, and they allow Elise to Q smite at the exact moment that she wants it to time it together so that Cyanide can never smite steal.
And I actually have to sort of celebrate a lot of what you're saying in terms of the individual play of the Royal members, because kind of going down the line, right? I know we talked in the pregame about Uzi and how crazy he is and how good he is, but he has straight crushed Pushu twice now in terms of minion kills, in terms of champion kills, and having impact on the game. Secondarily, you again talked about the junglers, and I know we sort of celebrate Cyanide in Europe as being one of the best smiters in the region. He's generally a guy who can make those crazy turnarounds and make those smites, and yet here's Lucky who, as you say, right, it's not luck, it's skill. Twice in a row has taken those, guaranteed those things for his team. And then also, again, down the line, the mid lane, White has twice now just destroyed Peke. And so when you look at a team like Fnatic, they're the Season 1 champions. They've played in this kind of stage before. Nerves shouldn't be getting to them at all. Whereas you look yesterday, both the Korean teams looked a little bit nervous. They weren't playing 100%, but Royal here are playing at 110% when it matters the most.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. We're about to move on to social media, but I know that, Krepa, you had some thoughts on some of the factors of players going on tilt. So do you want to share some of your thoughts here? Because it looks like Fnatic is struggling. Yeah, definitely. The way they get affected by playing, Soaz is a very emotional player, so I really hope he just calms down again and gets everything together. Because you see, Cyanid's improving. They got information. You have to, in the best of 5, the first 2 games, you have to regard as free information how you go back from it. Because Fnatic technically can easily go 3-0 if they keep playing and not throwing their lead away. They now have to respect the Orianna, as Double have pointed out. They have to put Cyanide on champions he's comfortable with. They have to keep making those plays, keep making those picks. I wouldn't put Pusu on Ashe again because he seemed very hesitant with his arrow. I just hope they don't tilt. Just calm down again and look at this as a new best of 3. Well, we'll have to see if they can, because it's going to be a best of 3 they have to win all 3 games on. As I mentioned already, we are going to get to the rest of the series in a moment. As the first 2 games of the semi-final, it seems it's already sorted out. It's time to check in and see what you guys had to say about our Twitter question of the day. We asked you, which team have you become a fan of after watching them play at Worlds, and why? And here's what you guys had to say. At Marcus Fails. He says, originally being a Cloud9 fanboy, Fnatic showed me a whole new playstyle I have never seen, landing a spot in my favorites. It might be disappointing you a little here in the semi-final. Freak, what's your thoughts?
I really like the Fnatic playstyle because they're highly aggressive and they create opportunities. That's the one thing I think defines them very well, is that they will just make openings happen. In game 1, they were like, Cyanide, come bottom lane. We'll solar flare, and we're just all going to jump onto Uzi and Tabe, and we'll just get kills. It'll work, trust me. And they decide to start things out. This game as well, game 2, just let's throw an Ashe Hour out there. Let's just try to dive in there. They just create openings, and it just tends to work for them.
The funny thing about this game is, though, even though Fnatic lost, the score was 21-18 in Fnatic's favor. So they really value kills, and they know how to make plays.
Yeah, that's the truth. Right, at Dr. Win, he says, how can anyone not be a fan of Mineski after Worlds? Their fantastic attitude, even when losing, has won my support. The crowd here seems to like them.
I mean, and personally, too, I had a lot of conversations with the Mineski guys, and they are just as likable off stage as on stage. They were so happy to be here, so happy for the opportunity, so happy to be able to play these other teams. Really awesome team.
Yeah, similar with Gaming Gear as well in the other group. They just had smiles all day long. I think they had realistic expectations and came in just to learn, adapt, and basically sponge up everything from the Worlds. All right, at Dennis Upton, he says, I have become a huge fan of SKT T1 after watching Worlds. Faker's play and Bengi's jungle are amazing to watch. And I think I would agree with that. We've seen them demonstrating it yesterday in the semi-finals. Not necessarily things Faker does to his epic level, but he did well.
Coming into this tournament, I wasn't entirely sold on the Faker hype train. A certain analyst on his desk was presenting. And then he played his Gragas against Orianna, and I was completely shut up. Like, he turned everything, every single play, he turned it around. Like, any other Gragas would have knocked the Orianna away. No, Faker's like, I'll knock you into my tower, and I'll meet you halfway.
And it's important to note as well, even in the semifinals, that not all those games were the 110% Faker level. He wasn't the best mid laner in the world for all those games, but the rest of his team showed up extremely well. You had Impact carry some of those games. You had the bottom lane carry most of them, basically. And the whole SKT lineup's been really impressive so far.
Yeah, that's the truth. All right, we got one more tweet here from at Matless Young. He says that Royal Club, Tabe's game-changing 3-man stuns and exceptional sportsmanship definitely made me a fan. I have to admit, I loved his interview, I loved their play, and I fell in love listening to him singing.
Tabe actually reminds me kind of Pumandu 2.0, because they both die consistently in lane, like every game, and I'm like, wow, these guys, when I watch laning phase, I'm like, these guys actually misposition really bad, and then they get to team fights and they pull off some amazing stuff, and I'm just like blown away at what you can do on support.
Yeah, that's the truth. All right, guys, keep sending in those tweets. We love to hear what you have to say. We are at LOL Esports, and be sure to use that hashtag